The faint glow of the streetlights barely illuminated the sidewalk as I made my way home from the late shift at the diner. I'd always found comfort in the familiarity of the route, the rhythmic clatter of my footsteps echoing through the empty streets. But that night felt different. There was a heaviness in the air, a suffocating stillness that made my skin prickle. I tried to shake it off, to dismiss it as paranoia. It was nearly 2 a.m. after all. The world outside was supposed to feel eerie and deserted at that hour. As I approached the turn onto Maple Street, I spotted him. An older man sitting on the steps of a dilapidated house, his face partially obscured by the shadows. I hesitated, my instinct screaming at me to keep walking. But the sight of him, disheveled, unshaven, with tired, sunken eyes, pulled at my heartstrings. I couldn't ignore someone who looked so lost, so desperate, so I forced myself to approach him. "Hey there," I said, trying to keep my voice steady and friendly. "Are you okay?" He looked up, his eyes narrowing as they adjusted to the light. "Just tired, my man. Been sitting here a while." I shifted my weight, glancing at the house behind him. It looked abandoned, the paint peeling, the yard overgrown with weeds. "Do you need help? Is there somewhere I can take you?" His gaze fell to the ground, and for a moment, silence hung heavy between us. "Help is a funny thing," he finally said, a hint of bitterness creeping into his voice. "Most people don't want to help. They just want to feel good about themselves." I took a deep breath, feeling the chill in the air settle into my bones. "I'm not trying to feel good. I just want to make sure you're okay." "Okay," he laughed, a hollow sound that sent a chill down my spine. "No one is ever really okay, sweetheart. But it's nice of you to offer." I studied him for a moment, considering my options. "Look, if you're in trouble, I can call someone for you. There are shelters nearby that can help." He shook his head slowly. "Shelters? They're worse than being out here. You don't know what you're asking for." At this point, I was regretting my decision to stop. Something about his demeanor unsettled me, but I couldn't just leave him there. "But what do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. "What's so bad about a shelter?" His eyes flickered with a mix of sadness and anger. "They take your name, your story. They want to know everything about you so they can decide how to help. But really, they're just putting you in a box, labeling you like some kind of animal." I felt the urge to walk away, to put distance between us, but the gravity of his words held me in place. "And you can't stay here," I said finally, my voice trembling. "It's not safe." "Safe?" he echoed, leaning forward, his voice lowering conspiratorially. "Nothing is safe. You think you're safe because you're walking home at night? But look around. Do you really know what lurks in the shadows?" I swallowed hard, glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see something lurking behind me. "I just want to help you." "Helping comes with a price," he said. For the first time, his expression shifted. There was a strange intensity in his gaze, something that made my heart race. "If you want to help, you have to be willing to pay." "And what do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He leaned back against the steps, crossing his arms. A smirk crept onto his lips. "Everyone has something to lose. Everyone has a secret. What's yours?" I felt the blood drain from my face. I didn't have any secrets. At least, none that I thought were worth sharing with a stranger on the street. "I don't have anything to lose," I said, forcing a laugh. "I'm just a waitress, but it's always the innocuous ones that have the darkest secrets, isn't it?" He mused, his tone dripping with condescension. "The ones that hide in plain sight." I wanted to walk away, but something kept me rooted to the spot. Maybe it was his intensity, or perhaps it was the curiosity he had ignited within me. "What do you want from me?" I asked, my voice steadying. "I'm not afraid of you," he chuckled softly, shaking his head. "Fear isn't always the issue. Sometimes it's the cost of knowing." I opened my mouth to protest, but before I could speak, he continued. "I can give you something you've been craving but are too afraid to admit." a glimpse into the truth. But it comes with a price, and you must be willing to pay. What kind of truth? I asked, my heart racing. I wasn't sure if I was intrigued or terrified. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing, and I felt an invisible thread pulling me closer. The truth about people, about your friends, your family, even your own soul. But know this, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It'll haunt you. He shivered, both from the chill of the night air and the weight of his words. Why would I want to know that? Because you're tired of pretending, he said softly. You want to peel back the layers of your life to see what's really there beneath the surface. To understand why people are the way they are, why they hurt you. I hesitated, contemplating his words. It was true. I'd spent years burying my emotions, hiding from the reality of my relationships. The more I thought about it, the more tempted I felt. What's the price? I finally asked. He smiled, a slow, sinister grin that sent a shiver down my spine. A simple thing, really. Just a piece of your soul. A piece of my soul? I repeated incredulously, half convinced I was dreaming. Nothing so drastic, he assured me. Just an experience. A moment that changes your perception of everything. You'll feel it, a shift, a weight lifted. But in return, you'll have to let go of a piece of your innocence. I scoffed, feeling the bile rise in my throat. I don't believe in that kind of nonsense. Believe what you want, sweetheart, he said, his voice dropping to a murmur. But you're here, aren't you? You want to know what I can give you. And I felt a pang of fear wash over me, but it was accompanied by an undeniable curiosity. What do you mean, a piece of my innocence? Just think about it, he said, his tone almost hypnotic. You've lived a sheltered life, haven't you? You've avoided the darkness, kept your distance from the grim realities of this world. But the truth isn't pretty, and it'll cost you something to see it. I took a step back, shaking my head. I can't just give away a piece of my soul. He shrugged, unfazed by my hesitation. You're right. You don't have to. But if you choose to walk away now, you'll always wonder what you could have known. His words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I felt torn, caught between my desire for knowledge and the instinct to run. What happens if I say yes? I asked, my voice trembling. Then we'll go inside, he said, gesturing toward the house behind him. I'll show you the truth. But once you see it, there's no going back. I looked at the house. Its dark windows stared back at me like empty eyes. What's inside? It's only what you're willing to confront, he replied, his expression turning serious. Your past, your choices, your fears. It's all waiting for you. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. What was I even considering? The rational part of my brain screamed for me to turn and run, but the other part, the part that craved understanding, was urging me forward. Why are you doing this? I asked finally. Why help me? He chuckled softly, a sound devoid of warmth. Because I was once like you. I wanted to know the truth, and I paid the price. Now I'm simply offering you the same opportunity. But it's your choice. I took a deep breath, weighing my options. Part of me screamed to flee, to escape the weight of the moment. But curiosity gnawed at me, an insatiable hunger for the truth. Okay, I said, my voice barely a whisper. So do it. He stood up slowly, a satisfied smile spreading across his face. Good. Come with me. As I followed him toward the front door, dread settled in my stomach like a stone. The house creaked as we entered, the air thick with dust and the smell of decay. Inside, the darkness enveloped us, and I felt a chill creep up my spine. Welcome to my world, he said, leading me down a narrow hallway lined with old photographs. I squinted at the faded images, faces I didn't recognize, trapped in moments of happiness that felt eerily distant. What is this place? I asked, my voice barely breaking the silence. A reflection of life, he said, his tone becoming more serious. A mirror. You'll understand soon enough. As we reached the end of the hallway, he stopped. "This is where it begins." I felt the ground shift beneath me, my heart pounding in my chest as the world around me seemed to blur. Was I ready for this? I had no idea, but something told me that once I stepped through that door, there would be no turning back.